Hi everyone, this is David from Doctors of Running, and today we're going to be taking a look at some of the questions and answers that we have for the Saucony Freedom 4. One interesting thing about the Saucony Freedom 4 is that this is the first daily training option from Saucony to have the PWRRUN PB midsole, which is the PBA-based midsole that is seen in the Saucony Endorphin Pro as well as the Endorphin Speed. I'm just going to go down the list and we'll read off a couple of things. If you have questions on specifications and things like that, we do have a full review in video and written review. It should be right around ballpark, right around 8.5 ounces. And I want to say it's an 8 millimeter drop. So this is the Saucony Freedom 4. And a lot of the questions that I've glanced over so far want comparisons to the Saucony Kinvara 12 as well. But I'm just going to run down the list here and we're going to go from there. William Hirschberger asked, can it be used as a daily trainer or is it more up-tempo / speed days? And how does it compare to the Endorphin series and the Kinvara? More firm or more stable? So I'm going to address this in parts. This shoe is built more with a daily trainer-like construction. However, the foam is a little bit softer than the normal PWRRUN. This is the PWRRUN PB midsole. So expect the same plush feeling that you get in the Endorphin Speed and Pro, but without the plate. There is a lot more outsole on the Freedom than there is on, say, the Kinvara. So they're different, but this one's definitely built a little bit more for daily training. It has a lot of responsiveness for how soft it is and for how low profile it is as a daily trainer. So it's pretty versatile and you can do a little bit of everything with it. I personally think it's a little difficult to run slow in it. Slow being like recovery, pace does not matter type of days. Most daily mileage days, it's going to do just fine. I've used it for some workouts and it's done pretty well as well. For fartleks, long tempos, I've done 18-mile long runs in it just fine. The protection's there. It's more of a daily trainer type build, but it can really get it moving if you ask it to. Durability wise too, I mean, you're looking at an outsole that's almost indestructible versus an exposed EVA. But they're different shoes. This one's going to have a little bit more forefoot rigidity up front as well. The Kinvara is a little bit more flexible, a little bit more of a natural feel to it. But the PWRRUN PB and that firm outsole on the Freedom 4 does make this feel a little bit more of like a modern shoe. It's like the daily training companion to some of these super shoes out there. So to answer the question, it can do a little bit of everything. I wouldn't take it to the track and rip out fast repeats on it, but I have used it for some road workouts on the longer end, some fartleks, long distance running. Daily training miles were fine, but the slow recovery days, it was a little unstable, a little soft for me. I just would rather reach for something else. The Kinvara is a little bit more of a natural feel, a little bit firmer, feels closer to the ground, more flexible in the forefoot, can also get it moving, also protective. I've done, again, 18-mile long runs in the Kinvara as well. Just different shoes. One's more natural, more flexible, protective, but still on the firm side, whereas the Freedom 4 is a little softer with a snappier forefoot, more rigid in some ways. In my opinion, a little less stable at the heel. And the upper as well is just more of a daily trainer type construction. So William, I hope that answers the question. Next question here is Darren Rieger. Who is this shoe best for and where does it fit within an already impressive and comprehensive Saucony lineup? I think that's a great question. This shoe is a unique one because I think it can find its way on the rotation for pretty much anyone. where a lot of people are going to be using this as a daily trainer. Some might be using this as more of a workout and race type shoe. For me, this is going to be more your daily mileage, long runs that might need a little bit of up tempo work, occasional tempo runs in it maybe. It's definitely a little bit of a do-it-all type of shoe, but it does lean more towards that daily training side of things. And where does it lie in an impressive and comprehensive Saucony lineup? So this is, I mentioned this earlier, it's probably going to be kind of like the daily training companion to some of those quote-unquote super shoes that are already in the Endorphin lineup there with the Pro and the Speed. Kinvara definitely still has a place there. It's just, again, it's that traditional power run midsole, a little bit more lower to the ground, a little bit firmer on the ride, however, more flexible in the forefoot. It just feels more natural. Not that the Freedom doesn't, but it does feel more like the new age shoes where you have more cushion under your foot, a little bit more of a bounce, a little bit more responsiveness and snappier forefoot. So this is going to be more of a personal preference, to be completely honest, because this can be anything from daily trainer to lightweight performance trainer. And for some people, they might choose to race in this if they don't like the plates, and they want something a little bit more forgiving in terms of flexibility and durability as well. Next question here, we have it from Amanda Kinnersley. Freedom 4 versus Kinvara 12. I think I have addressed most of this already, but both lightweight, performance, neutral type trainers. Obviously, the big difference is the midsole. PWRRUN PB midsole in the Freedom 4, PWRRRUN midsole in the Kinvara 4. The upper is a little bit more of a daily training type construction in the Freedom. Much more lightweight on the Kinvara, much more of a performance type fit on the Kinvara. However, the midsoles are entirely different. The PWRRUN PB is a little softer and the outsole is a little firmer on the Freedom. The forefoot's a little bit more firm, not as flexible. I think it's a little bit more responsive, to be completely honest. But that natural feel that you get from the Kinvara is still there. It's very present and it's very nice and fluid. This is just going to feel a little bit more like one of the new age shoes, but in a daily training type construction. So George Russell asked about a heel counter. So there is a heel counter. It's lightly padded. It's not too crazy. It's there. It's present, but it's not... I wouldn't say it's overbearing in any way. They padded it decently well. It's not, I wouldn't say heavily padded, but they also have that little retro curve design as well that kind of helps take some pressure off of the Achilles. And I think it's pretty good there. I had no problems with heel security in this shoe as far as that goes, or any heel slippage. Aside from the previous Freedoms, this is Flojo Run Club. Aside from the previous Freedoms, what shoes would you compare to this? And this is another interesting question. I think this is going to go down the lines of some of those performance trainers that we've seen on the market, like the Brooks Hyperion Tempo. I think would be a training shoe worth mentioning, similar to this. You could make a case for the Skechers Razor. I haven't run in that Skechers Razor XS that is just coming out to the news releases now. I feel like that one might be a little closer just because it has more stack height to it. If it is still similar to the Razor but with more stack height, I'm just reluctant to say the Razor entirely, mainly because of how low profile that shoe is, and the weight difference is also 2.5 ounces almost. So, but I would probably say the Hyperion Tempo. That's the first one that comes to mind. Maybe like a Reebok Panthea, a lightweight performance trainer that has some bounce to it and some responsiveness. Okay, so the next question is from T Hands 76 or Thans 76. As a current Kinvara 10 and 11 fan, 10 being the fave, and knowing 12 is going to be more racing inspired, would this be a better shoe compared to the K10 and 11 instead of the K12? Okay, I apologize, T Hands 76. I have not ran in either of those, and I will not be able to answer that question. I have run in the Kinvara before, but it has been a few models ago, and this one does feel a little less daily trainer like. It feels a little bit more of a performance up-tempo feel. Still natural, still lightweight, low to the ground, protective still, but it doesn't feel like the stack doesn't feel as high, and it doesn't feel as daily trainer like. That's the only way I can compare it to the previous Kinvara models I've run in. This one definitely feels more like a performance type trainer. Let's see here. Running Joe 92. Does it run true to size? It indeed does. I really liked the fit of this shoe. I actually believe this was my first 10 out of 10 on the upper on the reviews. It's just very naturally fitting. It's minimalistic in the right ways, but has just enough overlays and just enough things to keep the structure. Toe box is just wide enough. It's wide for a performance shoe, probably normal for a daily trainer. Lockdown's good. The suede tongue there is nice. It runs true to size, yes. And I just now realized I just answered that for the Saucony Kinvara. My apologies. It does run true to size, though. Holds the dorsum of the foot a little snug through the midfoot there on the top on the lacing system. But yes, the Freedom does run true to size. I had no problems with any translation or irritation. The toe box is pretty wide on this as well, wider than the Kinvara. I think it's going to be pretty accommodating for a lot of people. It's got a solid hold. It's an upper that's really grown on me as I've run in it more. Again, more of a daily trainer type construction, so I wouldn't expect it to be as minimalistic and light as, say, the Kinvara. Let's see here. Chasing Strength 18. How does it compare to the Endorphin Speed? So they obviously have the same midsole, but they are very different shoes. If I'm putting this one short, the Freedom 4 definitely feels more like a daily trainer in comparison to the Endorphin Speed. The Endorphin Speed feels like it has a little bit of a higher stack, more of a rocker effect on it, and just a much firmer forefoot because of that nylon plate. That speed roll technology really comes into play on the Endorphin Speed. It's a shoe that I personally feel like I feel the best running moderate pace to fast in that shoe. I don't really like running slow in the Endorphin Speed, or daily training paces for that matter, whereas I feel like I can run daily training paces in the Freedom. Neither of them I really like for recovery type paces, but daily training miles, the Freedom I can do. The Speed just doesn't quite feel very smooth for me at those types of paces. Next one here, Tugboat. How does both this and the Kinvara fit in the lineup other than one's cheaper? I think I touched on that a little bit earlier. I think I'm going to move on to the next question on that one. So we have WV Veenan. I don't know how to say that, and I apologize to Woveenan. But the Freedom 1 and 2 were indestructible for me with the Eva Run and Crystal Rubber combo. Do you expect the same durability for the Freedom 4? So I did not run in the Freedom 1 or 2, but the outsole of the Freedom 4 does give me a lot of reminders of, say, the Endorphin Speed, and almost like the Triumph had a baby. The outsoles are, they're very similar. I have, I want to say right around 70 miles on my Freedoms, and I haven't even made a single dent in this thing yet. It looks pretty dang good. It looks brand new, to be honest. Maybe some very mild abrasion on the heel. This thing I think is going to last industry standard or longer. I don't think there's any durability issues on this shoe. It's definitely more of that daily training type of construction. And it looks like we got two more here. So we have Massimiliano Ferrarici. I don't know how to say that. I'm just doing my best here, trying to function. Okay. It's not strictly related to this shoe, but I'd like to know more about plantar fasciitis and what to look for in a shoe to prevent it. Thanks. There's a lot of factors that can go into plantar fasciitis, and I think that question might be a little too loaded of a question for this video. Mechanics are so individualized and shoes are so different from each other, and constructions can change things, uppers can change things. I think we'll probably try to address this question more specifically with, say, a post or a Science Friday or something else that we're doing. But I think for the context of this video, I'm going to elect to move on to the next question. The next question here is Ryan's Winter, or Ryan Swinter, or Ryan S. Winter. Obviously, it is late and I am tired, but it's a great question. This is as the PWRRUN PB is a PBAX base, does it save the legs like other PBAX shoes? I really enjoyed the Kinvara 12 podcast recently. Will you be doing a Freedom 4 one? Oh, I think this must have been during one of the posts. So yes, we have done a Freedom 4 podcast, so that is out, and feel free to check it out. But I would say it saves the legs pretty well. I was feeling pretty fresh after my 18-mile run in it. 15 of the miles were up tempo and felt good. It did save my legs, and it felt, if anything, it almost saved it more so. I think not having the plate in there. The shoe is much less aggressive. Aggressive isn't the best word for it, but it's a lot more forgiving, I think, on the intrinsic foot musculature and just everything up the chain than, say, the Endorphin Pro or Speed, just because this is a little bit more of a daily training type build. But yes, the short answer to this question is yes, it does good job of saving the legs. I've felt pretty fresh every time I've run in it. It's a little different. I mean, there's no speed roll in this. There's no plate in this. The rocker is less pronounced. It's not going to feel like the Endorphin Speed or Endorphin Pro. It's not going to feel like the Vaporfly or the Alpha Fly or any of those quote-unquote super shoes. But it will feel like a PBAX shoe if you've run in the Reebok Panthea. That is a similar type shoe. It's still going to have that softer kind of bouncy feel that PBAX gives you. This shoe is just different. The way the outsole is constructed and the upper integration, it's definitely feels a little bit more daily trainer like. But it'll hold up very well with long miles. So it should save your legs pretty well. And I haven't had any problems with any intrinsic foot pain or anything like that I've gotten in some of the other softer shoes with long miles. So I'm a pretty big fan of PWRRUN PB. I think it might be the most forgiving midsole out there. Not as trampoline-y or bouncy as, say, Zoom X, but it's incredibly responsive and the deformation is less pronounced, and I think it works for a larger population of people probably. But that's just me speaking. But that's the last question there. If you have any other questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. We're going to try and do this more often, having a question and answer for popular shoes or topics or anything that you guys would find helpful. So if there's anything that you want us to review or do a question and answer or Science Friday or any topics at all, feel free to drop it down in the comments below. Again, this is David from Doctors of Running, and today we were taking a look at the Saucony Freedom 4, doing our questions and answers. Yeah, please subscribe to our channel and check us out at doctorsofrunning.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, the whole nine. We're there. Thanks for watching.